Wow. How are you all doing? I'm going to tell you, I get so pumped up uh, in conversations like this. I mean, I just really, it's part of why I go through all this effort to put on these shows is you just Stratus opened my mind in so many ways. And I'm seeing in the comments, the stars, the thank you, so inspiring, authenticity. I'm in. Thank you for your shares. I hope that you allow that to open you up. Like, what do you need to disrupt in your life? What do you need to dismantle, right? And let go of? What do you need to go all in on and not be afraid to fail with, right? And if you've got some things coming up, go ahead and put it in the chat. All right. So I'm super excited about our next guest. So this is Carlotta Thompson. She's not only my tax strategist, she's a tax strategist to Alex Sharpen. That's how I learned about her. You know, one connection away. She used to work with the IRS, and it doesn't matter if you're making, she said, 10,000, 10 million. She's going to show you the path to zero taxes legally, ethically, so that you can make more, save more. She even has strategies for earning. And I'm not going to give you a spoiler alert there, but I am so grateful to share with you the strategies of the wealthy, which, look, if you're swinging for the fences, you need this, because the first thing that happens when you start really making the money that you're wanting to make and the impact that you make is when you see that first tax bill and you're like, whoa, I already spent that. I wasn't counting on that, right? So we want to get ahead of it and maximize our income. All right. Thank you so much, Carlotta.
I'm so excited to be here. And yeah, like Adora, you always are putting on events and like really giving back to everyone. And I hope that, I don't know if y'all have been to one of Adora's events before, but they're always jam-packed full of great information. And literally what I'm going to show you today, like you can leave and make money and also pay no tax. We stay sold out, but Adora she'll be like, Carlotta, please come on our events. And so we don't have anything to sell, but like just take notes, and darn, you're gonna learn so much information. And I'm so thankful to be here. So
thank you. Before I take myself off, one more thing. Those of you that'll join us in Atlanta in August with Les Brown in person, Carlotta is going to be there throwing down with us. So I just wanted to say that before I go, and thank you.
For sure. Excited. Yes, it's going to be an amazing event. I'm bringing so much to the table. But today we're going to talk about the pathway to zero, because all of you can get to zero. And also the exact pathway to zero is actually the exact path to, hold on just a second. I've got to present, and it doesn't look like they're going to let me share my screen. Hold on just a second. Adora, can you come back on and let me share my screen? But the exact pathway to zero is actually the exact pathway to...
I'm here. I'm talking to the team in the background, the production team. They know how to do it. So it'll be up there soon. Okay.
Awesome. I was like, okay. So guys, let me just go with who I am, because I don't want to waste any time, because we have a full 45 minutes. So, a few years ago, I was sitting across from a taxpayer just like you, and he had a business, and I was going into a meeting with him, and he said, Carlotta, if only the IRS made you take a course before you started your business. How many of you have felt that way before? Like, oh my gosh, if just I had to take a course or do something before the IRS came after me, like that would be great. How many of you have ever felt that? Yes, ma'am, Adora.
Little side note, we need you to upload under present. Upload the slides.
Okay.
Do you see it?
Yes, it's not going to let me do it there. Here, I'm going to let Savannah do this.
And then Lisa or Jennifer, if you want to pop in and help us. And then while this is going on in the background, I know so many of you are coaches, speakers, teachers, and we're in a tech world. So I want you to notice how we're even responding, right? Like, no big deal. It's a breakdown. It's live reality TV. You're watching with us. And let's see. So Lisa or
Selena's getting it up. She's
perfect.
pulling it up right now.
Perfect.
So yeah, everything, when you've done so many of these things, like, you know that there's going to be issues, right? It's just how it is. So anyways, let's go back to the story because that is uploading. So how many of you ever felt like that? So there's a lot of you that felt like that. So when I was 13 years old, I was sitting at the table with my dad and, or 14. I was sitting at the table with my dad and I was going through the mail. How many of y'all have like a nosy teenager that goes through the mail? And I came across this booklet and I was like, Dad, what's this? And he said, you should read that. And it was the instruction booklet for how to prepare a 1040 tax return. How many of you are old enough to remember what those look like? Anybody? Okay, well, I was reading through that and I got so excited. I started geeking out on it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do with my life. And I started studying tax law at 14. When I was 18, I went with my friend to get his tax return done. And they gave him his amount. And I was like, no, but what if he did this, this, and this? He could save more money. And they came back out. They had to go get a manager. And they were like, oh, you're absolutely right. And they were like, you should come to work here. And so I went to work at that big box retailer after learning how to do taxes in 3 days. And actually, I taught most of the class because I knew more than most of them. And so fast forward from there, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to go to work at the IRS because I'm going to get these accountants in trouble. They're doing a disservice for business owners. They're not helping them pay less tax. Like, they're literally bringing in the stuff and they're just throwing it on a return and trying to do the return as fast as possible. Well, fast forward, I obviously was in college for accounting and finance. And so when I got finished with my degree, the first thing I did was apply at the IRS while I was still in college. And it takes a long time to get on at the IRS, guys. So I went to one of the Big 10 accounting firms and I got my start there. 2 years later, guys, I got the call. And I was like, hello. And they were like, this is the IRS. We would like you to come in for an interview. And oh my gosh, my world was like amazing. I was like, this is what I've always wanted to do. I'm going to make this my career. I'm going to live there forever. I'm going to do all the things. Like, I was an IRS junkie. Okay. So I go and I thought I was going to change the world. I thought that the IRS got onto accountants. They helped business owners. And I was fixing to go there and really change the lives of business owners for the better. Yeah. So how many of y'all know that's not what really happened? That's what really happened, but that's not what really happened. Like, I got there and I started ruining lives and I started having to destroy taxpayers' businesses because they messed up and they made a mistake, or they didn't know the law, or they didn't know what they were supposed to keep up with. And so that guy that I told y'all about, like, guys, I was crying with him and I was like, oh my gosh, if only they made you take a class. Like, why don't they educate you? That was one of the first instances I had of like, there could be another way. I could have a course. But what I did was I took that and I started a ministry at night helping business owners pay less tax. And that ministry, a few years later, became my business. The last straw was whenever I had a client that are a taxpayer that I called up, and they really do cold call you. Okay. I called this guy, cold called him and told him he was getting ready for an audit. And he was so excited. He was excited, guys. He was excited to have an audit. I'm not even excited to have an audit, and I can blow the IRS away with my law, you know? But like, this guy was excited, and he had bought into this multi-level marketing scheme, teaching people how to win in audits. Well, needless to say, he was not winning over an audit. And he was a blue-collar worker. He was a trained engineer, and I was about to lay a 3-year tax bill on him, because they go back 3 years, in the amount of $60,000 or $70,000. That was not his wife's bill. She filed separate, and she was going to get one of the liking. I quit before I ever finished that audit. And so I left, and now I'm here to teach all of you how to legally pay zero tax and what you have to do if you are in an audit. Like, guys, it all comes down to documentation. It's not hard. And also, don't be afraid of the IRS, because most of the time they're just kids getting out of school and they don't know the laws. All right. So my stuff's up here. So I just want y'all to know this event is recorded. We have to tell you that because obviously they've probably told you that 100 times, but I am licensed by the IRS. And so I have to tell you that it's recorded. And I also have to tell you that this information is for educational purposes only. You cannot use it to get out of penalties unless you are my client. And then obviously it is my advice if you are my client. My belief is if I can help entrepreneurs pay less tax, they're going to give more to what they believe in. Entrepreneurs are philanthropic. They just are. How many of you guys want to save on taxes so you can give more to what you believe in? How many of you know that if you save on taxes, then you can exponentially change everything in your world, right? So that is my belief. My purpose and what I do a lot of business just to be able to give back. If all of you haven't done the exercise in business of how much you actually need in your world before it never makes your life any different, you really should. And what you should do is sit down and list out all of the expenses of what your perfect life would look like, right? Like if you had the house you want, the car you want, all the things. And many of my friends, their point of where they don't, one more dollar doesn't change their life is usually around $1 million. Mine was at 400,000 just because I live very frugally. And no matter how much money I have, I'm only going to spend $20 on a pair of jeans. Like, it's just who I am. And so that I reached that point at about 400,000, and now I just give back. And so what God told me I had to do was start a ministry helping kids. It's called Called to Love. And this ministry is focused on helping kids through entrepreneurship, or learn entrepreneurship and learn how to evangelize, and then obviously education. We're doing our first event as a school. We're actually bringing in kids from our clients, and it's called Kidquisition and Teenquisition, and we're doing that first event in September. So our school is going to put on that event. It's going to be amazing. But we just help kids. And we feel like if we can create child leaders, then they're going to be leaders in their home, in evangelizing and in entrepreneurship. So this is me. I am an ex-IRS agent. I am federally licensed, and I have over 20 years of experience. And I just love to help people save on taxes. Now you can see that because we had to download everything and re-upload it, a lot of my pictures aren't going to show up because it was in Google Slides, but this is a picture of my kids. There are some more pictures, but they didn't come through. Congress and the IRS want you to pay less tax. How many of you believe that? Give me your hand if you believe Congress and the IRS want you to pay less taxes. Guys, I am a very interactive speaker. If you're not talking to me on in the chat, then I'm not going to know that you're even listening. So anybody believe it? I guess no one's here. Next is the exact pathway to take you from paying 10,000 or 10 million to zero. Yep. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Herbert. Thank you, Shanae. Thank you. Yes. Most people do not believe that Congress and the IRS want you to pay less tax. And then third, this one strategy that gives you a 3x in tax deductions and also gives you a 300x return on investment. How many of you would like to invest 100,000 and get 400,000 back out? Anybody here? Of course you would, right? Because who wouldn't want to do that? So that's what I'm going to be teaching today. So we see billionaires doing it, and we wonder why we don't have someone helping us do the same. Guys, there's lots of people, Trump, Amazon, Musk, they all don't pay federal taxes. Now, Musk actually paid federal taxes last year because he did one of those entrepreneur things where he had this bright idea to go buy a company that he really didn't need because he was bored one day. And so, yes, he had a bunch of taxes because he sold off his stock from Tesla. Had he not done that, though, usually he doesn't pay any taxes, but he's making sure the world knows he paid them last year. So let's just look at Amazon. What do they do not to pay taxes? They use tax strategy. Now, it's the same strategies that are available to you, but they have a whole team of tax strategists that are helping them pay no taxes, right? They use tax credits and incentives that are available to you. They specifically use WOTC, research and development, and some renewable energy projects, right? So all these things are available to you. I'm not going to spend much time on those because, guys, we only have 45 minutes. So I want to get through this as quickly as possible so you guys have plenty of time to answer questions. So why doesn't everyone do this? It takes time, okay? We spend 80 to 100 hours on each client we work with. That's why we sold out in 2 months this year, okay? But you can take these things and just maybe utilize 1 or 2 of them, which wouldn't take you a lot of time, and it could save you a few $1,000s just by watching this. And I'll go through them. All right. Accountants don't have time to do this. So we work with your accountant. You don't switch accountants or anything. But accountants don't have time to do this because think about it. I tried to do this when I left the IRS. I tried to do tax strategy, tax prep, and accounting because I was going to be the all in one place. Right. Well, that lasted a couple of years until I realized there was no way. Because what happened is I wanted to do it all. And I really wanted my focus to be on tax strategy, but tax strategy really doesn't have a deadline that's going to cost me my job or my license if I don't meet it. Tax returns do. And so accountants are always going to be focused on tax returns first, then bookkeeping, because that's what you're focused on. You don't care about what's happening next year with your taxes. You're worried about what your numbers are. And tax strategy always gets left behind when actually tax strategy has to be done in the year that the taxes are. So like, for 2023, our strategy happens from January to December. Tax strategy ends on December 31st. And most of you don't even give your accountants anything until after December 31st, right? You give it to them in the next year. And even if you do give it to them every quarter, their focus is not on saving you money and figuring out what strategies you qualify for. It's, hey, you're going to owe this, maybe go buy a business or go buy this piece of equipment. How many of you, the tax strategy you get from your accountants, like, oh, you made a lot of money, go buy this thing. Maybe go buy a car, or go buy some more mastermind stuff. Have any of y'all ever had that kind of strategy in your life? Well, that's not the kind of strategy we do. So the tax code is complex and difficult to navigate, and not everyone has that knowledge, right? So some people just don't prioritize reducing their tax liability because their focus is on making more money, right? Well, I'm going to show you why that doesn't need to be your focus in just a minute. It does if you're under 100,000, but if you're over 100,000, you better start focusing on strategy. So 99% of that tax law is devoted to government deductions and credits for business owners and investors. Only 1% is devoted to employees. So if you're here and you're an employee, you don't have a business, well, the first step is getting a business. Tax strategy is simply finding the deductions that you already qualify for and taking them. Most of the money that is left on the table is because you're not taking the deductions and credits that you already qualify for. Tax strategy is being proactive about purchases and investments. A lot of people come to me and they'll make a decision, and if they had just asked our opinion, they would have done it a little differently. Even our clients that have been here for years, they'll say, oh, well, I thought you knew that I was selling my property. No, I don't have a crystal ball. That's why you need to come every month and talk to us, right? Or whatever. But for instances, you need to be figuring out like, okay, I want to invest in real estate, but should I do Airbnb or long-term rental? Well, it really depends on your situation, right? So you need to get that guidance. But most of the tax strategy we do is finding you things that you already qualify for that you just didn't take. So it's very important for you to know how much you even pay in taxes, because a lot of you don't know. A lot of you think it's just what you pay quarterly or what you pay at the end of the year, but it's actually much different than that, because there are so many credits. If you took those credits, you would actually get a refund, right? So look at this is just federal tax. This isn't what you pay for Social Security and Medicare or to your state. It's simply for your income taxes. You're going to add line 18 and 23 together, and that's what you pay in taxes. So if you pull up your 21 or 22 return, you'll be able to see what you pay in taxes. And if you don't pay that much, then great. You probably aren't really focused on it. But if you do pay a lot, I want you to know that for every dollar in tax savings that you get, It's about $7 in gross income. So how many of you are with me and you would pay me $10,000 if I gave you $70,000 in income? Anybody here? Anybody here would pay me $10,000 if I got you $70,000 in income? Guys, this is a no-brainer. How many of you pay salespeople all the time for sales? And yes, you would definitely pay them. Or you would pay them $20,000 for $140,000 in gross income. Hallelujah. Right. But you guys don't think about tax savings. So every time you make $7 in gross income or $70,000 in gross income, you're going to have to pay overhead, employment taxes, payroll, all the things. Now, when you're a small business, you may be doing a lot of that stuff yourself. But when you get over $1 million in gross receipts, you're going to see that you have to start building a team. And when you start building a team, or when you have a business, normally your profit margin is going to be 20 to 30%. Okay. I do lots with business acquisitions. I review tons of business financials. That is what that's across the line. 20 to 30% is the profit margin for any business. And that's after your add backs, of course. Like maybe you pay for your cell phone out of your business, that gets added back. That's in the 20 to 30%. So if I make $7, then after I pay all of my expenses, I'm usually only going to have $2 left. And after that, after I pay my taxes, my income taxes, my taxes for my employees, all the taxes I have to pay, I'm usually going to have $1 left. Okay. So congratulations. If I save you $1 in tax savings, well, you can multiply that times 7. All right. So let's get into saving you some money. Congress and the IRS want you to pay less tax. I want you to tell me in the comments, who do you think makes the tax laws? The politicians or the IRS? Tell me in the comments who's making the tax laws around here in the US. Anybody? Come on. I know I got somebody telling me in the comments. Oh, y'all, I must be lagging. All right. Well, I'm going to guess that you're thinking that the IRS makes the tax laws, because that's what we all think. But actually, the only bargaining power that politicians have is taxes. Okay. They can either raise our taxes to invest in the things they believe in, like maybe remodeling this art exhibit or whatever, or they can raise our taxes to give money to the less fortunate, or they can raise our taxes to send money to overseas. They can lower our taxes to give us more money in our pocket, right? They can give us child tax credits. They can give us earned income credits. They can give us credits for business owners. That is that is their job, right? That's the only bargaining power they have. So politicians create the tax laws and the IRS enforces them, guys. The IRS is only the enforcer, and they have to determine what these guys over here that don't know anything about taxes were talking about. When we started doing ERC, we had so many different, they interpret it so wrong. And then the politicians had to be like, no, we meant this. And the IRS was like, well, you said this. So the laws kept changing there for a minute, like every 2 weeks we get new laws on ERC, because the IRS has to interpret what these politicians are saying. It's very interesting. So where I get my tax strategy, right, because I'm working in the current year, I have to go read this stuff coming out from the actual Congress minutes, right? I have to understand what they're saying. Then I have to kind of guess what the IRS is going to do every time there is a new tax law. Now, here's the hard truth. As a business owner or real estate investor, Congress uses the incentives to direct your moves. They're controlling you with tax strategy, which I don't mind being controlled by tax strategy, because otherwise I would not do a lot of these investments. You would not catch me being a real estate investor if there was not a lot of tax incentive to it, because it's just not my thing. Like, I do it because I get money for it. I do it because it makes me pay zero tax, but otherwise, yeah, it's not something I would like to do. If Congress wants us spending money on physical goods, they give us depreciation. If they want us hiring people during COVID when you should be not hiring people, they give us employee retention credit. If they want us hiring a certain type person, maybe somebody that's been on SNAP benefits for a while, they give us WOTC. If they want us investing in green energy, that's a big push right now. They're going to give us energy credits. If they want us investing in certain specific areas of our state, they give us opportunity zones and empowerment zones. If they're going to give us whatever they need to make their mission become possible, right? So right now, you always, every time someone is in office, right, you still have 50% that's one side and 50% the other. And so right now you're seeing a lot of green energy, right? And you're hearing about a lot of credits around energy. But in that same breath, you're also seeing things that are getting extended because everybody has to agree at the end of the day to get something to pass, or they have to have a little bit more support. So you're going to see a lot of loopholes. That's where we get our loopholes from. They're called add-ons to a bill. And so, hey, I'll sign that bill if you put this in for my constituents. It's not always tax related, but oftentimes it is. So that's where our loopholes come from. Our tax system is used to guide business owners and real estate investors down the path they need to provide housing, jobs, and other opportunities for the rest of the country. That is why they give us these opportunities, because if they didn't give them to us, it would be now a government crisis. That's why they want us hiring during COVID. That's why they give us real estate credits. That's why they give us all these things. So you already qualify for it, but have any of y'all ever been called by the IRS and been told that you overpaid your taxes? No, they don't do that, okay? They don't care if you overpay as long as you don't underpay, so don't expect that call. Now, every once in a while, they will send a letter if you're supposed to have gotten earned income credit or child tax credit and you didn't get it. But guys, that's for the 1%, not for the 99%. For the 99%, they don't send us anything. So if they want us to play their game, let's play it, right? We want to know how to play their game, because their exact pathway for us paying zero taxes is also the pathway to become multimillionaires. It doesn't matter if you're here and you make 10,000, 10 million, or 100 million. The pathway to zero is exactly the same, all right? So first of all, I want you guys to tell me in the comments if you want to pay taxes like the rich or like the wealthy. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments who wants to pay tax like the rich and who wants to pay tax like the wealthy. I think we're lagging a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and give you the answer. This is how the rich pay taxes. They have an accountant that tells them to go buy a bunch of crap they don't need, so they have to pay taxes. They normally have nice, expensive trucks and equipment that is sitting around going down in value. They look like they have money, but they really don't have any money. Okay, they have a lot of debt of stuff that's going down in price. The wealthy, on the other hand, they buy assets that appreciate in value, and they have lots of cash flow. It provides much more tax incentives than the expensive trucks and equipment. The wealthy can be recognized because they have lots of property and businesses. They may be driving around town in the old truck, but own half the town, okay? They're buying things that is going to make them wealthier. So the two things that ultra wealthy always own are businesses and real estate, all right? So every wealthy person you can think of has those two things. They might be in syndications. They might only own a little percentage of it, like a stock, but they all own businesses and real estate. So the pathway to zero is my exact pathway that I use with my clients to get to zero legally. And like I said, it's the same no matter what. First, you're going to own a business. All of you here are business owners, or you probably wouldn't be on the summit, or you're thinking about going into business. But next is implementing personal tax strategies. Now, personal tax strategies are going to be like the accountable plan, Augusta rule. This thing is covering up, but SEP, 401k, pay your kids, reasonable comp, S Corp, how can I deduct that additional expenses? All right. That is the personal tax strategies. All of you guys can do that. Now, you're here, you're probably made $100,000. You probably want to know how to make that first $100,000 tax free. So I'm going to tell you how to do it. First is 5,000 business use of the home, 15,000 business use of vehicle, 3,000 cell phone, 1,000 internet, 1,000 clothes, 6,000 for the Augusta rule, 24,000 for paying your kids, 5,000 for business meals, 5,000 for a workcation, 5,000 for computer, electronic, cell phone, 5,000 for normal furnishings, 10,000 for health insurance, 15,000 for personal items. Now, guys, that is things that you can do if you're here and you're under 100,000. You don't need a ton of strategy, but you can use those first personal strategies. Okay. That's what you need to be focused on if you're here and you're making under $100,000. If you're here and you're making over $100,000, you need to be focused on implementing business strategies. Okay. So business strategies are usually provided by a specialist that focus on a specific credit. And I am going fast, guys, because I only get 45 minutes and I want to make sure that y'all get as much content as possible. Most accountants hear about business credits, but require a lot of work outside of just preparing a tax return. And your accountant doesn't have time to go to work with a specialist. Also, accountants have this chip on their shoulder that if they have to bring someone else in, then you might think they're not as smart as they think they are. So you've got to make sure that that you find someone that is working with the specialist in these business credits. These credits are usually done, like I said, by a lawyer or an engineer or someone that has specialties in those. These are Americans with Disabilities Act, Empowerment Zones, Opportunity Zones, ERC. That's one that y'all probably heard of. The reason why you've heard of it is because there's a lot of money in it for the people that are selling it to you. There's not a lot of money in the rest of these. They're great credits for you, but they might not give the person doing them a huge favor. So some of these you gotta find somebody that's going to do them for you, that's not getting paid a fortune to do them. Small business health insurance credit, employee stock ownership plans, fringe benefits, work opportunity credit, cost segregations, R&D, hundreds more. There's even Indian employment credits, guys. There's credits for everything. All right. So second, you're going to implement your business strategies. You're going to do personal strategies, then you're going to do business strategies. We focus on personal strategies, and then we do treasure hunts to find business strategies and real estate strategies. So we're going to get to that, but that's what makes us different from everyone else. Next, you're going to buy real estate, right? Next is purchase and implement real estate strategy. So you're going to buy real estate. Then you're going to go into real estate strategies, which are depreciation, step up in basis, travel to places you like to go, 1031 exchanges, opportunity zones, real estate pro strategy. There's tons of real estate strategies. All right. And then, so this was an apartment example. I'm not going to go over it, but just so you guys know, there is money to be made in passive income, but it doesn't make as much money as your business will. So you're going to make your money in business, then you're going to invest it in passive income, right? But then every time you buy a business or you start a business, you're going to do your business strategies. Every time you buy an apartment or a single family house, you're going to do your real estate strategies. All right. And this cycle just keeps on going. That's why people like Elon Musk have 47 million businesses, right? You just start acquiring more businesses. As you're building your wealth, you're going to acquire real estate every year, usually about 2 to 3 properties a year per million. And then as you're kind of seeing your way out of your business and you're building a team and you're handing it off, and you're at 2 or 3 million, you're going to acquire additional businesses. Or you can acquire additional business to start with, right? And you can just start your business by acquiring a business. So step 1, buy or grow your current business. Step 2, implement personal strategies. Step 3, implement business strategies. Step 4, invest in real estate. And step 5, acquire additional businesses. And then you just go through it all over again. Acquire additional businesses, then you're going to do business strategies, acquire additional real estate, then you're going to do real estate strategies. All right, so the one strategy that gives you 3x in tax deductions and also gives you a 300x return on your investment is business acquisitions. So it's not a secret that having a business is the #1 way to tax-free wealth. You may think it's real estate, but having a real estate is usually considered a business past a certain level. More on real estate later, but guys, business acquisitions is the way to go. You should be acquiring businesses if you're just starting, if you don't have a business, or if you have a business that's making over $500,000 in net income, and your biggest concern is paying less tax, or you have a business but you haven't been able to get your gross income over $1 million, then consider a business acquisition. This is a business acquisition that we were looking at, commercial printing service. The seller is wanting to pursue other interests. 40-year-old business, 10 employees. The asking price is $1,050,000. The down payment with the SBA is $100,500. I actually have where somebody will pay that SBA down payment for you for a little bit of investment in your business. So you can actually get in with zero money in. This business is undervalued, guys. So it would actually be worth $2,236,698 if it was valued correctly. It has $987,626 of FF&E. What this means for you is if you put $100,000 into this, or if somebody else puts $100,000 in for you, then your first year, you would have 10x in tax deductions. So you'd have $987,626 in tax deductions that you could offset against your current business income or future income. The cash flow on this business is $400,000 a year. That means $400,000 in your pocket after expenses. So you have $100,000. Your cash flow is $400,000. That's 400% a year, all for $100,000, guys. And somebody else will give you this $100,000. It's incredible. But this is where I usually spend a lot of my time is in business acquisitions. It's kind of like Monopoly. Monopoly is the perfect game to teach the pathway to zero. Your railroads and your electric companies are your businesses. Probably most of you in here have more than one business. Think of every LLC you have as a business. As with the Monopoly board, there's a lot of real estate around the Monopoly board because your real estate to your business is going to be 5 or 6 pieces to one business, right? Or maybe more, depending on how wealthy that business becomes to be or how much income that business puts off. And then the luxury tax square is the equivalent to the IRS, and hopefully we can pay them zero. But if you want to know how to make this a realization, you can go to zeropathway.com. There's a 5-hour workshop, guys, that I'm giving away for free because I don't have anything to sell you. I just want you to come and learn. And if you're interested in how all this works together, I am going to do an acquisitions event. So that would be the next thing I do have to sell in the future. But go learn. Guys, people have bought businesses watching and paid zero tax just by watching the zeropathway.com. So I hope that you guys have loved this. I know this is a lot, but if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. And hopefully I haven't went over my time too bad.
Oh no, you're doing great, and we're in the background doing all the things, and I'm watching the comments. People going, "She talks so fast." I think they're not responding because they're trying to take in, what you're saying. But look, we've put it in this chat. This is a 5-hour class that it's part of your clients get this class.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's normally
actually we sold this too. So yeah, it's definitely a value, guys. It's not just like this free thing that you're gonna get from somebody. Like, it has a lot of value in it. We usually think we sold it for a few $100, $500, something like that. So go watch it. It's amazing.
After this event, not right now.
Not right
now. I'm just kidding. And yeah, and I'm super excited you're going to be with us in August. And I can see why your programs sell out because there's so much that you guys actually just do for us and do with us, and your whole team. They answer questions fast. If I'm one of those people, and you guys judge me if you want, but I'm one of those people that I just put that stuff away, and I'm usually months behind. And then by the time I talk to your team, they're like, "Adora, it's okay, breathe, give me this." And they'll even type the things. It's just incredible. Your team really makes it very easy to win. I mean, it's really cool.
We're creating the software right now, and it's going to pop up on the screen this saved you $10,000 by filling out this one thing, because we want you to win. We want you to save money. We want you to have those wins, but in the same breath, we also want you to have tons of wealth. And if you're on this event and you're like, how do I scale? One of those ways to scale may just be buying a business and just not trying to start one from scratch, and using Adora's information to grow that business instead of recreating from nothing. And so anyways, I love these events. I know I talk fast, but guys, you can go back and watch this. I'm sure Adora has this where y'all can watch it or something later. You can slow it down. Nobody can 2X me.
That's right. Nobody anywhere. So yes, this will all be up live. Our VIP gets it broken up later so they can go right to Carlotta, as well as that 5-hour class. And I know you don't have anything available. You'll be with us in August, and they'll get some time with you one-on-one in that little event. But here's what you can do. I mean, the book I wrote in 2020 went bestseller because I read several books. One of those authors is on here. And I literally went page by page and made sure someone on my team implemented it. And it did. It went to bestseller. So if this is really calling to you, this course that you've given to us freely, and you literally did that because you're like, Adora, I don't have anything to sell and I don't want to leave them hanging without a path. It's very valuable. And that's in your free gifts, all of you that are registered for this event, which is free, right? So unless you upgrade. So Carlotta, awesome. Are there any questions? I've got Carlotta for a few more minutes. Alan says 1.5, Carlotta. But that is, you listen, she's from the South and she talks fast. It's not happening, Alan. It's not happening. Unless you're an accountant and a tax attorney and you already understand all the lingo.
I don't know. I try to put myself on 2X when I have to re-listen to something. I'm like, oh, wait, I got to rewind. What did I just say?
Yeah. Okay. And then I see it was complicated, but interesting. So that's another thing that I want to say. These things that seem complicated and they seem really far away, that's just because you don't know what you don't know. And you've been trained to like be afraid, avoid, just go make money and then deal with it later. But it's not the truth. And the way you step into the realm of the wealthy is you start to hang out in these rooms and you get the access to information that can help you make those big leaps. And what you realize is that it's not as complicated as you think. It's just about having the tools. And it also doesn't have to take as much time as you think. It's going to save you a lot. So do you hold a class for the tax part? That is the free class that she just gave you, right? The 5 hours.
Yeah, so that one focuses on the acquisitions portion of it, but it also has some tax strategy in it. Once you get that and you're on our list, when we do have another tax class, we'll let you know. We don't do those, but in the first 4 months of the year. But we probably have a replay if someone wants one that we can send you just so you can kind of go deep into the personal strategies. And the pathway to zero, the zero pathway is focused on business strategies. But if you're looking at those personal strategies, how to pay your kids, all that stuff, just send us a message once you get our first email and we'll send you some more stuff, guys. We don't have anything to sell you, so we're glad to give you as much free information as we can that we normally give during the first part of the year, just because we want you to succeed and we want you to be able to do these things. Just know we do have a done for you service. If you learn these things and you're like, oh my gosh, we'll start selling again in February of next year.
I'm already pre-booked for this to take my slot. I'm like, they were like, do you want to renew? Yes, I do. And it only gets better in that vortex. And so some of you thought, oh, this is just going to be about taxes, but hearing that you could purchase a cash flowing business, and there are just so many things that get opened up in this circle. And that's why getting in the room with the people that are winning and not being a lone ranger, because I know many of you, and I raise your hand if you're the person that like is lifting up everybody and everybody comes to you with your challenge. So you're always like in this mad scientist cave working on your deal. But what happens then is you grow in isolation, and that is a super slow path. Yes. It's a super slow path. When we get in rooms like this, it's like, I don't know, it's quantum leaps. But even I can have resistance sometimes, like, I don't have time for another, networking thing or business thing. But every time I do, last year I had more than ever. It was the best thing. It was one of the top things I said I did for myself the whole year, because I could trace back moments like this to the quantum leaps. And that is what happens.
Yeah, if I had to do it all over again, I would buy a business, because I have grown this business for 5 years and I'm still not at the amount that if I would have just invested $100,000 of my money, I could have went and bought one at the same level. And that's really a hard pill to swallow, because you're like, dang, I could have shortcut 5 years. But us as people, we're so used to like working for what we have, and then we still spend $100,000 on mastermind. So by the time we do it, we should have just put down the money. And now with this down payment assistance thing, that the SBA came out and let us do some cool things just in the past month with investing in other people's businesses, that it's just insanity how fast you can grow. And I did it the wrong way. Like, that's the one thing I would have done different. So
That was huge. Did you just hear that too? Just in the past few months, there were some things so that those of you that are thinking, oh, but I don't have 100,000 to invest in a business. Well, you don't have to have that. That's what she just kind of, it just,
yeah, it's zero down, like no money down. You could have a business that's 5 years ahead of you or 40 years ahead of you. Some of these businesses, you want to buy a business that's been around for at least 10 years and they've already done the work. And now you just use your skills, because these are mom and pop places that haven't learned from Adora, that they don't know the skill. And so you take their business that has no marketing skills, that's still making them 30%. And you go and do these things. And now you've just incredibly doubled your money in the matter of 6 months. That's what usually happens when we're in that acquisition space. So that's why I even teach acquisitions. It's kind of weird teaching acquisitions from a tax strategy point, but usually I'll have people that need an acquisition to offset their taxes. But so I did that. And then when I got into it, I was like, gosh, I'm stupid. I should have just done this. So I'm going to go public in 10 years and sell for my goal is $1 billion valuation. And I'm going to do it through acquisitions because I can acquire people faster than I can build.
Oh, see, do you get the processing? Just like when we had Stratus on before, even though they're two totally different humans. Here we have our Arkansas woman in ministry who's like guided by God. I know her to help free the people in their taxes and wealth building. And then we've got our, disruptor who called us from the cigar bar, in the closet. But what you're picking, so I want you to see that, like, it's not about being Carlotta. It's not about it's about being yourself and giving what you have to give back. Carlotta, what you just shared, the $1 billion mindset, the way that you could actually buy a business right now with zero money down, that's 4 to 5 years to create cash flow. Some of you that are in marketing, that have, social media, VA companies, digital marketing, that are, Dennis Waitley started as a storyteller for Jonas Salk and Michael Dell. You bring your skills to those businesses and boom, you can increase your. Now I'm like, Carlotta, I need to get to your class. Are
you coming in September? Are you coming to tax acquisition in September?
Yes, I need the date.
I
need the date because
the date, ladies, 18th through the 20th.
Give it to me.
20th through the 22nd in September. We're doing a Dallas event, and guys, like, it's all going to be on acquisitions, and I probably have like 4 spots left. If you
want my spot, she has like 3 spots left. My child is signed up for that, right? You have like a kids.
So it's acquisition, teamquisition, and tax acquisition, and so it's an event that our kids. So it's 2 different events in one. Our kids are running the kids acquisition and the tax acquisition while our school is, and then I'll have tax acquisition at the same time, and it's literally doing exactly this. It's 3 days, and it's crazy. But anyways, this was not to even talk about that, because
I know, but that's the thing. Like, I have a few things coming up. We have something at the Napoleon Hill Foundation right after this. But I myself, like all of you that are busy, it's like you just gave me, like, I need to stop and make sure I'm paying attention, because if that's how you're going to get your $1 billion valuation, then I need to be paying attention, and I trust your code of ethics, so
it's you can do. Like, I'm just doing, it's just numbers, guys. It comes down to numbers, and it comes down to being a leader, and stop thinking you need to do everything yourself. I don't do anything myself but what anybody in my business can't do. So that's going to be like curriculum, or reviewing financials of my business, or whatever it is that I am the best at. Everything else I hire out, and I just start new businesses, or I buy new businesses, depending on if they're available to buy. I'll buy them. If they're not and I need it, then I'll just find whoever's the best and go hire them to do it. So when y'all are asking, like, how do you find a CPA like you? Well, we're tax strategists that are implementers. We're the only company in the country that does what we do. we work with your accountant. There is no one else that implements tax strategy on a monthly basis. Yes, there are tax strategists. They'll give you a plan. They'll give you a start, and that might be a good place to start, but they're not going to do it for you. We do it for you every month. Also, I don't know of any other tax strategists that ever have taken the position of acquisitions. It's just something I kind of fell into. And real estate, I have lots of real estate and acquisitions. So you're probably not going to find someone like me. Okay. So don't set that as your bar just because I know that I'm different and there is no one like me, but you might can find somebody that's better than me in different ways. But my focus is monthly done for you tax strategy implementation, business acquisitions, and business real estate from tax incentivized acquisition standpoint.
So I would take her zero, go to this website, make sure that you come back to that course. You'll be on her mailing list. You'll know about when she opens up, not just the September event, but the class. I mean, when she opens up for clients again. And I think they were asking from like, okay, if we can't hire you, what do you suggest? And it's like, well, you're not going to find anyone just like me. But I want you to hear something in that too. Because if any of you, a bunch of us just read 10X is easier than 2X, and we're all dialed in on what is your core 20%, and you need to get rid of the rest, not in a bad way. It's either like it doesn't belong to you or anyone on your team anymore because it doesn't fit your vision, or it goes to someone on your team. And so Carlotta told you, I only do the things that only I can do. And what does that do? That frees up all this other energy for learning how to buy businesses.
I do 1%, maybe 0.5%. Like I'm not even at the 20% anymore.
Yeah,
I'm like 0.5% over here. So just like fire yourself every time, like every month. If I start finding myself like getting in more than I want to, I fire myself from the job because I don't want to do that. I want to focus on how I make the difference in the world. And right now that's through education and ministry. So
yeah, so good. So good. Where is her ministry?
They want Called to Love is my ministry. You can find it on Facebook.
Say it one more time.
Called to Love.
Called to Love. Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, only do the things that you can do. That's right, Anthony Glover. That is right. Okay. Well, Carlotta, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm glad they have 5 hours more they can go with you on slow. And you all definitely go follow her. And those of you that will be with us in person in August, you'll meet her.
Yep. Awesome. Well, I'm excited to be with y'all. And y'all show up because there's not much time that people get to actually sit with me. And I'm assuming this event's going to be a small, intimate event. So y'all come. And I think also there's going to be a few spots that Adore made me save back in May for that event. I think I saved like 10.
That's right.
For that event. So the only way you can get to them is by coming to that event. Yeah. But there will be some spots for my done for you tax strategy at that event.
Awesome. 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 Okay. Well, thank you so much. I love and appreciate you. I'm going to make space to get on that SBA note and get on my $1 billion bandwagon faster.
It's easier than you think. Once you get to $1 million, then the next million and the next million after that, super easy. So guys, just buy your first $1 million and then you'll never have to feel the struggle of what it was to get the first $1 million.
It's so good. I want you to catch the frequency, catch the download, the processing, like let it be easy. Just buy your first $1 million and you can buy with no money down with an SBA loan. If it doesn't get any clearer than that. Thank you so much, Carlotta.
Thank you. Talk to y'all soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.